to another episode of the all new TTown 411 report and our community conversation. We're broadcasting live from McKinstry Studios here in Tuscaloosa, Alabama, and from Sound Booth Radio and Sound Booth TV. Mike, tell them how can they sound in with Sound Booth Radio and Sound Booth TV.
Sure thing, Daryl. Check us out on the radio side of Sound Booth Radio. Just go to your iOS or your Google Play Store, download the Live 365 app. Once you download that app, then type in your search bar Sound Booth Radio 106.1. That'll get you on with us on the radio side of Sound Booth Radio. To check us out on the video side, just go to your Facebook or to your YouTube. Type in Sound Booth Radio 106.1. That'll get you on with us on Sound Booth TV.
We also have with us our very own Ms. Veronica Taylor, who's a part of the program, who brings us each and every week COVID update and monkeypox updates and any health issues that might be going on. Veronica, how are you doing today?
I'm good. Doing good, Darren. How are you?
Good. What's going on in Tuscaloosa?
All right, the COVID-19 update for today, March 21st. Right now, it remains steady. We'll get an update from DCH on tomorrow. So as of right now, it's still 8, unless things have changed, and we'll see it tomorrow, and I'll let you guys know on Thursday. As far as the influenza update, it continues to decrease below the average, and we're kind of coming on out of the flu season now. It's usually lasts until like maybe September to March. So we're into March right now. So hopefully those numbers will continue to go down more and more. The monkeypox update remains stable at 188 for Alabama. And by saying that the influenza season is starting to wrap up, I think a lot of you guys may have noticed that yesterday was the first day of spring. But before yesterday, there's been pollen and all types of allergies all over the place. A lot of cars have been loaded with pollen. And, I know a lot of people do have allergy problems. So what I noticed with wearing a mask over the past few years, it helped me because I would wear a mask even before C-19 at times during the spring when it was so bad. So if you do have allergy issues, and whether you like a mask or not, try that sometimes, especially when you first go out in the morning or whenever it affects you the most. Because some people it's all day, every day. But there's also things like Claritin and Allegra that you can take over the counter, or you can, anything that you take over the counter, talk about that with your doctor as well. But it is allergy season, and the cars have been looking yellow, green. Your car can look almost a whole different shade. I've been seeing so much pollen. So the rain is your friend in the spring. So for those who have allergy problems, they know that the rain is your friend.
Yes. And I think we got a big weekend of this coming Friday, possibly severe weather this Friday up until Saturday that's coming in. So hopefully that'll wash a great amount more away. Because it was kind of thick this year from the very beginning.
Yes, it has been really. I went outside one day. I was like, and it hit me. I was like, I don't know how I didn't think of this. It's almost spring, and probably gonna wait till March 20th. It kicks in. It kicks in late February, early March, and it's been here.
Well, let me say a shout out to Betty Hopkins and Kai Porter and everyone else that's chiming in. I tell you what, let's give people a few minutes to catch up with us on the program. I know we was a few minutes late getting on the program as usual. We normally be on at 8 o'clock, but sometimes we have a few technical difficulties and we'll run into some issues, so that's what happened. I want to go ahead and do the disclaimer, copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act of 1976. Allowances made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, education, and research. Fair use is a use permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing upon non-profit, educational, or personal use to balance in favor of fair use. Also, as usual, we also like to say the opinions expressed in this presentation are my personal opinions and must not be construed as representing the opinion of any institution with which I am or have been affiliated in my professional life, as well as Veronica and Mike. So just want to make sure we get that out. What we're going to do is take a quick commercial break before we start taking phone calls and talking about this part 2 of the environmental services walkout. I got a a little bit more information to pass on, and we will get to talking about that and anything else y'all want to talk about tonight on the program. You can call in on the program. So let us take a quick commercial break, and well, let me go ahead and make the announcements right quick while I'm here. Uh, on tomorrow, March 22nd, Brunch and Boogie, which will be taking place at the McDonough Hughes Center on tomorrow. Brunch and Boogie. Let me read that. And it's from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. Join us for food, fun, and line dancing with Tuscaloosa Senior Community. This is for the senior community. And this is on tomorrow from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. So catch them for Brunch and Boogie at the McDonough Hughes Center, located at 3101 Martin Luther King Boulevard here in Tuscaloosa, Alabama. And then on Wednesday, Wednesday. Is that correct? Wednesday the 23rd? Yeah. Yeah, Thursday the 23rd. Thursday the 23rd. It will be at the Belk Activity Center, and it will be from 8 a.m. to 11 a.m. And that's located at 2101 Bowers Park Drive, Tuscaloosa, Alabama. And it's being brought to you by your very own Shelton State, Para, and WTUG and other WTUG and the Block and other supporting sponsors of this Brunch and Boogie line dancing that's going to take place on uh, on the 23rd. Also, very important comment. 1 second, callers. One second. On Thursday, also very important. Free. Listen again. Free. Free drive-through food giveaway. Food will be distributed from your crate to your car. So in other words, you need to bring a crate to get a crate full of food. Crate of food will be placed into a container that you provide. And this is going to take place on Thursday, March 23rd from 10 a.m. until it run out. So this is on Thursday at 10 a.m. Thursday from 10 a.m. Thursday from 10 a.m. until it run out. And this is going to take place at St. Paul Baptist Church, 3501 Stillman Boulevard. Don't forget, container for food. So you need to you can take a milk crate, a clothes basket, a paper bag, a tote, a cooler, a box, or any kind of storage container, and go up and it's a drive-through. It's a drive-through food giveaway that's going to take place at St. Paul Baptist Church, located at 3501 Stedman Boulevard. Now, let's make sure our seniors get some of this food and help them out if y'all can. This is going to take place at 10 a.m. 10 a.m. until it run out. And this is on Thursday, March 23rd at 10 a.m. So please inform other friends and family about this upcoming event that's going to take place. And this is a free food giveaway. And it's a drive-through. All you have to do is take a crate. You can take garbage bag, paper bag, clothing, a cooler, a box, anything that you can put food in, and take it by there, and they put the food in the container and put it in your vehicle for you. So don't forget your container for food. This is going to take place on Thursday, March 23rd at 10 a.m. Now, St. Paul Baptist Church is this church right next to Stillman College. And I want to say let me see, is it Dr. Reverend Lonnie Weaver or Pastor, however you say it, but the pastor of St. Paul Baptist Church, and I think it's Dr. Lonnie Weaver is the pastor of the church. So it's going to take place there, and it's a free food drive giveaway is coming up. So we're gonna take a quick commercial break, and then just you can call in. I'll switch over in just a minute. Copy to all of y'all that's been trying to get in. Just a second. I do have my phone fixed, but I was reading that, so I just want to make sure we get that. So let me take a quick commercial break. We'll be right back, and we'll talk about what's going on right here in Tuscaloosa, Alabama, and surrounding areas. So stay tuned.
Hello? Hey, Rick. I had to call you to tell you that the food that you brought to the party last night was wonderful. It made me think about my grandmother's cooking. Where did you get that food, brother? I went down to Thomas Rib Shack to pick up the ribs, but when I got there, I seen that they had more than just ribs. I seen baked chicken, fried chicken, corn muffins, vegetables, apple pie, peach pie. And I looked around and I seen a sign that told me that they got chitlins and oxtails on Sunday. Oh, all I can tell you, go down to 2931 15th Street or just give them a call like I did at area code 205-759-5010.
For over 27 years here in Tuscaloosa, Catfish Heaven has been pleasing our taste buds with their delicious catfish, pan trout, hot wings, coleslaw, hush puppies, and don't forget about those made-to-order French fries. Whether it's your snack time, lunchtime, or dinner time, give the guys a call over at Catfish Heaven at 205-752-7222, or you can make your order online at catfishheaventuscaloosa.com. So head on over to Catfish Heaven at 2502 21st Street. See you there.
Tuscaloosa, get ready for the TTown Memorial Day Weekend Blues and Grill Festival, Saturday, May 27th at Palmore Park, featuring O.B. McKenna, Avail Hollywood,
Is you 25 and
Arthur Young, Tucker,
They call me Tucker.
TK Soul,
Don't try me.
Miss Jody,
Me right.
plus Donnie Ray and the J. Morris Group. Also a special Tuscaloosa. Get ready for the TTown Memorial Day Weekend Blues and Grill Festival, Saturday, May 27th at Palmore Park, featuring O.B. McKenna, Avail Hollywood,
Is you 25 and
Arthur Young, Tucker,
They call me Tucker.
TK Soul,
Don't try me.
Miss Jody,
Me right.
plus Donnie Ray and the J. Morris Group. Also a special
Get your event jumping with Caroline Shines and Impulse Band. Impulse Band has been together for over 7 years, and they haven't missed a beat yet. The band has and will play in various venues and doesn't mind traveling to you. Being led by Alabama Blues Hall of Famer herself, Mrs. Caroline Shine. Impulse has opened up for Bobby Rush, L.J. Eccles, Tank, Fantasia, Calvin Richardson, just to name a few. The Impulse Band will surely fit your need for entertainment. Dial 205-887-6859 or 205-887-5026. Or you can just email them at shinesbrightly@yahoo.com. Caroline Shines and Impulse, the band made just for you.
Well, once again, we're back, and we appreciate everyone that chime in each and every week on this program, each and every Tuesday and Thursday at 8 o'clock on the program. We really appreciate all your input and everything that you do to let people know about this very informative form of communicating with the community right here on the program. Once again, I'm sorry we wasn't able to get your number in right a minute ago. If you can, call in now, 205-310-6067 or 826-7661. The phone lines are open. We do have a few conversations we want to bring up in relations to the walkout, potential walkout. We talked about the uh, environmental services employees um, getting overworked and underpaid. And I had one other thing I need to share with you all that was sent to me. Uh, this was sent to me, and this was related to Sunshine on City Hall. This is a article that was written on Sunshine on City Hall on Facebook on March 13th. And I think everybody know who. It's a long, long article, but I'm gonna read it anyway. I'm gonna try to read most of it. And it goes to this, and this back up what was being told to me through these interviews with some of the employees. Um, Management, poor management, over and over and over and again. It's the same story. I wrote about this horrible condition affecting environmental services employees back in September 2022. Walt and his leadership team has done such a lovely job of ignoring the problems that now employees are threatening a walkout. Things aren't gotten better; they've only gotten worse. Here's my post from September the 6th. Since the breakup of IPS is going to fix all the problems, that's the creation of IPS generated. So fun to listen to the CFO talking about putting the administration for divisions back into those divisions today. It was abundantly clear how illogical the mayor's storied restructuring of 5 years ago was. We might as well go ahead and have looked at as one more division under that umbrella that has suffered because of, you guessed it, management and leadership. The don'ts. Environmental Service is, of course, responsible for garbage and trash pickup along with the city recycling program. And like the rest of the public services in IPS, it has long been under weight of top-heavy administrative staff, managers, and supervisors. One employee who left a year ago or so told me directly that he absolutely could not stand to spend another day at a job where every day 5 different managers approached him to tell him to do the same thing. It drove him out of there. You've heard it before, and I'll say it again. Too many chiefs, not enough Indians. Maybe that's the real cause of the lack of communication in this department. Walt inserted so much bureaucracy that he muffled the message under all his layers. Anyway, despite the top-heavy management, the top supervisor manager in this division, at that time, as I understood it, was making operation work fairly efficiently. I am told by a current employee that she could pull everyone together and make it work. And she was doing that with shoestring crews. In the past 2.5 to 3 years, the number of personnel in this division has plummeted from about 180 to about 70. Is it currently severely understaffed, and many employees who can afford to, because they aren't vested or close to retirement, are looking to leave? That's not a good sign. One longtime employee said that when he was fully staffed in the past, there were 200 employees. I'm sure some of that decline is related to the pandemic, but I'm told, and I have talked to multiple ESD employees on this point, that the current departures are directly related to management. Greg Jones said that's called capitalism. You see, the former manager slash supervisor was removed from the division that she was managing well by the mayor and inserted into the water meter chaos and charged with fixing that. One wonders how this was reflected in the budget. Did she shift to a WS fund salary or stayed at general fund salary? Walt does love to mix it up, all up. And then, as you know, she resigned and left the city entirely. In the meantime, an interim appointment was made, and this is when things really begin to deteriorate. The interim supervisor does not, according to multiple employees in this division, have the qualification to work in this position. No technical degree, no bachelor's degree, no managerial experience that directly informed this kind of operation, and yet has been in its months without a permanent hire being made. When this position was brought up today by council, it was spoken of as she is the permanent hire. But she also is, I am told, lacking vital personnel management skills, and this is causing departure after departure. Moreover, several employees feel that she is actually intentionally causing multiple departures in a division that was hardly afford to jettison even more employees. Furthermore, there is broad speculation among personnel in that division that this appointment was very much a friends and family appointment and that it was engineered for at the very top of the city chain of command. Something that has happened repeatedly in other divisions under IP is apparently Walt himself referred to it as the Friends and Family Department in remarks he made at a staff meeting a month or so ago. He should know. Beyond that, many vacancies are currently being filled with temp workers, and I am told that temps, because of their temporary status, have not integrated well into the work culture. At least one permanent employee has been terminated because what sounds like a very minor conflict with a temp worker, something that multiple employees say was completely unfair to the permanent employee, who says that the city HR department head treated her like a criminal. 3 different current employees contacted me independently of one another to express their outrage over this. All of them saying that what happened was unfair, that it was retaliatory maneuver by the supervisor and a manager, and that it was intentional targeting to get rid of an employee. Another employee told me that the supervisor has it out for me and will do anything to get me out of here. If these accounts of the work environment are accurate, it is no wonder that understaffing has reached such a critical point. One employee said the rules are made up daily and they are made up just to exert control over certain people. A recent rule was imposed that prevents people who are related to each other from riding on the same truck together. When an employee questioned it and asked to see where it codified, that employee was told by a supervisor that he wasn't going to argue with an employee about it because he's the manager. I'm told the changes that have been implemented under the new division manager are such that they have negatively affected everyone, and that even temps are leaving and not wanting to come back. Additionally, no less than 3 managers have left because of the way this manager is conducting business. One, a longtime employee of over 20 years with the city. An employee is no certain terms, they're abusing their power as supervisors, and that it looks like the department is going to be run like a penitentiary. Another don't of garbage collection. While none of this is direct observation, I don't believe that it's all just the complaints of a few unhappy employees. The reason I don't is because I have talked to person after person who works in this department, and the stories are too similar to ignore. Where there is this much smoke, there is bound to be some fire. As I was saying about city work culture in general, the preponderance of anecdotal evidence make these stories a little difficult to dismiss. Leading by intimidation or bullying or manipulating or other related tactics seems to be the strongest MO within city ranks. An MO is strongly modeled at the very top of that food chain. Returning to conventional city divisions is a step in the right direction for sure. But will the culture actually change too? I strongly doubt it. It's a terrible shame. Cultivating a supportive work environment that lifts employees' morale rather than stomping all over it should be the number one goal for the mayor. Above anything else, and given the extraordinary high number of departures this past year, even by Walt's administration standard, which has seen high turnover for years, one would think the wake-up call would be too obvious to continue ignoring. Something is wrong with this environment. Making meaningful changes to improve it should be a high priority. Maybe it could be a new core belief. And here's my post from September the 29th. Perhaps you will recall my recent post about the city's environmental services division and the declining employee morale in that division, along with the severe understaffing. Well, I continue to hear from people in this division that their work environment is badly deteriorated. Rather than try to capture and summarize what they say, I've elected here to just relay on to you, verbatim, one employee's recent comments and let those words speak for themselves. Good morning. The situation is bad in ESD. Management is showing favoritism to certain employees. They have came up with de facto supervisor positions to alleviate pressure on supervisors. I'm pretty sure this is an in-house thing. They started a list of training, but only trained a couple of guys. The manager is basically flying by the seat of her pants. She even addressed the department about expressing their views to outside person, basically trying to muzzle us and our rights. When you try to express yourself, you're met with eye rolling and even putting hands up to block you as if you're a child. But what can you do when your voices are unheard by superiors? She even brought Selvin Green down to the department as an intimidation factor in March. He came down fussing and cursing grown men as if we were children. Disgusting behavior from a man with such a high position. We just want better leadership. It used to be a joy to come to work, to do your job and go home. Morale is the crapper. There's a few guys planning exits, little do they know. People don't quit jobs, they quit bad management. We're in full on tailspin nosedive. These sentiments correspond with any number of other accounts I have heard about the division. Among those are some very strident remarks about at least one person whom several people believe was wrongfully terminated. It all points to a very toxic work culture, which does not benefit the city or a customer for these services. And here it is, February 2023, and we're still having those issues that are going on in environmental services. Once again, you'd like to join the conversation, you can call us at 205-310-6067 or 826-7661. So this seems to be not just an issue that's just been going on recently. This has been going on for several months.
Actually, been for years there, I'll be honest with you. Over the city, in the environmental services, it's been going on for several years. But the major thing that really sets things apart for me is most businesses, when they have a high turnover rate like that, and let's be honest, let's call it, the city is a business. You have a high turnover rate. They usually hire consulting firms to figure out why we got all our employees leaving. When you have gone from having 200 employees to down to 70, that is a huge drop. And then you keep yelling about how you can constantly being behind. Well, of course, you lost more than half of your workforce. So what's going on? Something needs to be done.
It's just that they're always hiring consulting firms, right, Mike? Hire a consulting firm for that. But the easiest way to do it is to do an anonymous survey. They can easily start with an anonymous survey because they know what's going on.
And I think we was questioning about the starting pay and everything, and from my understanding, it's right at $15 and some cent. Uh, the guy that mentioned he'd been there over 10 years, he said within his 25 years, he probably won't make it to $20 an hour at the rate things are going right now. So that's how that's going, and that's where things are looking at. I hadn't heard anything else on the news. Um,
And like I said, it seems like the pay structure has changed some, Daryl. Especially when you start going through the it's almost like they don't feel like they have to pay those drivers as much as they had to before they made it a point where if you get your CDL with them, then you can only use it with them. Before that, it was you had a CDL, like they had to pay you a wage to keep you there. That was an incentive to keep you there. Those jobs making pretty close to $20 an hour, driving around town and being home every night. They didn't have to go over the road to have a career. And now you're saying, okay, well, yeah, we'll give you a CDL now, but you can only use it here. If you leave, then it's non void, and you got to go through all those tests and all that stuff again to get your CDL. That's crazy to me. I'm still not understanding the reasoning behind that part of it. So they took away the incentives, they lowered the pay while taking away the incentives, and they're expecting people to stay. Where they do that at?
Mike, let me just put a plug in there. You know, there was a shortage, a very overworked shortage of school bus drivers on the previous couple years that we talked about. And the city of Tuscaloosa did a great city of Tuscaloosa school program, did a great campaign of incentivizing people to become school bus drivers. A school bus driver is making $21 an hour now. $21 an hour. So people that's looking for a job, that if you got your CDLs or if you even want to get your CDLs, school bus drivers are paying $21 an hour. And some people say, well, they don't get paid a full 8 hours a day. But look,
they get insurance.
You got great insurance, and you got decent pay. And you can, if you wanted to make that up with doing something else, I'm certain that there's other jobs that's out here that paying $18, $20. You know, it might not be, but sometimes you might have to do what you got to do to support your family. And that, if that means leaving, okay, it's good. You might want to look into just leaving, and then they will really recognize what might be going on. What's the real issue? And like you said, sometimes you have to. I think Veronica, you said sometimes you just gotta put yourself first over the job, because you know my friend that worked down at that department for many years. Soon as he was pronounced dead, his position was on the market. You know, it's like looking for a worker right now.
You have to put yourself first, because the job is always going to put themselves first. And when I say that, I don't say that to say that there are not great jobs who support, when their employees need it. They may need to be off. They don't give them a hassle. But when it comes to a job, I mean, the bottom line is they feel like they have to continue to function. So the job always puts themselves first. So sometimes you have to put yourself first. And a lot of people put them first by default. You know why? Sometimes people put job before themselves because that's their family's way of living.
Correct.
So at times your job comes first because your family is first. It's like 1A, 1B. You gotta have that job. And so what you have to do is you have to stick it out until you can get another one, because without it, your family is first and foremost.
you're
So
very.
sometimes that job is made a great priority or a huge priority because that's how you feed your family.
You're right. You're absolutely right. Let me take this call. Go ahead, call.
Good evening, everybody.
Hey,
Hey,
Jeff.
Jeff, what's going on? Everything's going pretty good. Can't complain, but that's terrible. The whole situation down at the city. I didn't know it was that bad. Not surprised or anything, but I probably is like most listeners. Probably didn't think it was that. Didn't know it was that bad. You would think, on most occasions, get a job down at City Hall and whatnot. Working for the city is pretty decent. Kind of in most cases stress free job.
You're right.
At least back in the days it was. But it's just terrible. Um, and like you said, Darryl, it starts the leadership and it trickles on down from there. And if the mayor is not, you got 311 for the city, what do the employees have to call? But part of that too, Jesse, is you have a lot of those employees that are so intimidated that they won't say anything regardless. There have been several occasions where the mayors come down there and, well, if y'all have any problems, talk to me. Here I am. If you got any problem, and won't nobody say anything because they feel like, well, man, just go ahead on, let us go so we can go get on our routes. And B, we say something, sure it's going to be met with retaliation in the long run. So I just be quiet. So the employees really truly don't say much or anything. When you start talking about department heads though, and Daryl read this a few minutes ago, the department head they have in there now was a person that is not suited to be the department head. The department heads they had prior to who they had in there now, they didn't have as many complaints. I don't think they had as many people turning over as they do now. Yeah. And then you try to fill temp workers is one thing, but you got to have your permanent workers. And when your permanent workers feel like the temp workers take precedent over them, why do they care? Mm-hmm. And see, that's when you get down to the way I see it, when it gets down to the fact that temps are quitting due to the fact of somebody has to know that there's a problem there, because the temps are the ones that are there trying to work their way in, on most occasions to be full time to qualify for a benefit, So when they start, exiting, somebody need to, somebody on top need to find out what's going on, what's the problem, where's that coming from, and for it not to be, looked at, then that's a reflection on the mayor, as far as I'm concerned, because if the manager is a problem and they're not fixing the problem, that's a reflection on the mayor. Now, as far as the other employees, my thing is, you have a problem with somebody superior person in your employment, and you feel like you're being targeted. Start documenting things, dates, things that were said, the time it was said. Document it. Have record these incidences. So when you take it to someone, you have it recorded. And believe you me, it matters. If they have to go into a front of a judge to fight for their job, fight for compensation, to fight for wrongfully being fired, that 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 bit of information that they record and they write up, it matters. Like you never know. And so that's some little advice I can say for them that are have those challenges at at their job. Now, as far as as far as those the managers there that aren't qualified, then I don't know. Does it require qualification? It is. You start when you become a department head. Most department heads, they have some sort of social or master's degree in something. Right. But here's the thing. Now, this is what your human resources department is supposed to be in charge of your hiring, and also in charge of anything that is not kosher in the workplace. So the employee should be able to go to a human resources department and say, "Hey, this is what's going on over here. This is what we're not happy about." And the human resources department is supposed to get to the bottom of all these things, to try to keep everything from getting as bad as it is. But when you got a human resource department that feel as though they have to answer to someone, the human resource department ain't supposed to answer to nobody. No, they have their own separate managers there, So it shouldn't have nothing to do with, the regular staff, It should be a separate entity, And the only one that person would have to answer to would be the mayor, Well, not even the mayor. They go strictly by the bylaws of the city. Okay. And those regulations but like in any job, the human resource department goes by the bylaws of the job. That's why you have a handbook. They go strictly by the level. They're supposed to be. So they're not supposed to be. It's supposed to be separate, like a separation of church and state, I guess. But I don't think that you're having that same type of thing going on at the city. If you ask me. I think that they can. Well, majority of everybody's concerned about what the mayor thinks. If the mayor is not going to like this, or if this is going to please the mayor, point blank, if you got an interim person, you ain't talking about a permanent. You ain't even talking about interviewing permanent replacements for the position. And when asked about, oh, well, this is your permanent person. No, that person's not qualified. You see that you're losing people underneath this person, so why would you keep them on in that interim capacity? So does the city council have anything to say about that? If it's brought to the council or something, it should be. Daryl, do city council have anything to say about that?
I hadn't heard anything. Other than Kip, they met with Kip Tyner and that was pretty much it. What the news said. They met with Kip Tyner.
And then you got the city manager. What is his job or her job?
No,
in that matter.
No, we don't have a city manager.
You don't have a city manager. So if you have a city manager, then I would imagine it would be the city council, that could intervene in a lot of that. I don't know what the bylaws there are, but it would seem that it would fall to the city council, when it gets that bad, because this is the running of the city of Tuscaloosa. So the council does do that bidding for the citizens of Tuscaloosa. So if the city departments are running right, then it should come in front of that council, at some point. And maybe maybe that's being skipped, and maybe they don't know that they can do that, or unaware. I don't know if it's possible. Somebody need to find out though, because the turnover, it sounds ridiculous, And I know, like up there at the plant, they have a crazy turnover up there. It started like when I was leaving. But I know the reason for their turnover. It is one, bad leadership. People are in place in leadership positions that shouldn't be, just as y'all had said so. Not only that, but you got a lot of young folks up there that's working that they aren't sustainable. They get a couple of checks, they're gone because they don't want to listen to nobody. And once the going gets tough, they get going. So that's the problem up there. They're hiring the wrong people, for one. So But with the city though, it's not that type of work. You know, I doubt there's any job at the city that is laborish as up there at that plant. You know, there are things up at that plant that they're doing a week that these guys at the city probably have to do. It'll take 6 months of them working what they doing compared to a week of what they do physically up there. I disagree, Jesse. Like just because you don't know exactly what they do. It's very I didn't say all. I said some. I said some of the jobs. There's some jobs at the plant. There's not strength. Right. I'm saying that's why I said some. But you go over an assembly. You go into some of those trim lines over there, and I assure you, them cats going in that car and wire harnessing and all that, compared to these guys probably on a truck or something like that. No. It ain't nowhere near strenuous as what them cats do going up in their car. Tell you what, I like when you get behind a garbage truck and jump off. I work construction. No. I said garbage truck. Jump on and off of it, grabbing them garbage cans in all weather, holding on for dear life as it hit curves, jumping off, having to run and get somebody's trash can because they're disabled and run back. You all got to do this on a time schedule. You can't just do it at a leisurely pace. You got to make it move. And it's extremely strenuous. It's extremely strenuous. Okay, I'm not I ain't really. I want to debate that with you. But I've seen guys, and I know guys that work on the trucks when they were actually doing that. There's a lot of those trucks that have arms come out and automatically dump those. I think both of you guys have a point. I think Micah is absolutely right. I think Jess is absolutely right. When you talk about jobs like that, Mike, the agility and the wear and tear on your knees, not like when you're in a plant, you're standing. There's wear and tear on your feet, knees, and back. But when you're jumping, hold on, Jesse, when you're jumping up and off on a truck, that's a wear and tear that only those people can explain. And I couldn't imagine because I wouldn't be jumping up and down on a truck. But that's just like if you're a BF Goodrich, if you're slinging them tires, the amount of tear on your back. So I think all jobs have their strenuous, you know what I'm saying? I think all jobs. So I wouldn't even try to compare because I wouldn't want to do either one of them. I worked in a plant, standing on your plant like a JVC used to do one thing, so I wouldn't say JVC was worse than BF Goodrich. But at the same time, I couldn't say that BF Goodrich is worse than a city job because I ain't gonna lie. I know guys that work on the city trucks. They're jumping off and on the hazardous waste that you may be touching that shouldn't be in the garbage cans, like Mike brought up last week. It's something else. But I think what the bigger issue is us trying to figure out how to help them get on come to a consensus that, like you said, Jesse, documentation. Because when you go to any organization to complain or any attorney to complain, once you figure out that your documentation, you take it, you do your chain of command, you take it to the authorities who you work under or whatever. Once it's not working, that's why I brought up last week, the EEOC. It is not just about race and gender. It's about harassment. It's about retaliation. It's about working conditions. And most employees, I want to make sure if you have at least 15 employees, then you're covered under that. If you have at least 20 when it comes to age discrimination, you're covered under that. So I think the documentation that you guys could talk about, and Mike, the documentation as far as like even when things aren't bad, just the strenuous work that they do. Get their stuff together, present it to somebody, and that's the first step that's free. I mean, the laws that the EEOC cover are laws that apply to work situations like hiring and firing, promotions. We've heard complaints about the promotions and the hiring and the firing, harassment. We've heard about that. Training, wages, and benefits. So we all can agree that each job has its ups and downs and it's hard. But as far as the problem that they're having right now, I think they need to start getting their documentation together and trying to get themselves on one accord to see what they need to do to help themselves. And if they can't, the city won't, then they need to take other steps. Yeah, I've been in that situation. That's why I said, documentation, because I had to do that when I worked at Fiber Y. And I started documenting everything. Okay, so what you wanna do is single me out. Okay. So this is what I'm gonna do. I started documenting. Every time that supervisor would come to me and tell me what I was and where I should have been and what I wasn't supposed to be doing, I documented the time, the date, and what he said. Then when he went over to another group and stood there and had conversations with these group of people that they were doing what he was telling me I couldn't do. So I document when he did it, who he was around, how long he stood there, and everything else. That's what I did. Then I took it to HR. When he tried to call me, oh really? I said, so you gonna come to me? I told him, so you gonna come to me when I just saw you over there, 20 minutes conversating with that guy, you know, but you gonna come and tell me I can't have a conversation with this guy right here, and he just came by my workstation. They like, well, I'm not doing my job. It sounded like he was trying to pick. But I said, we gonna have a problem. I told him we gonna have a problem with this. Me and you, we gonna have a problem. I see that. So when he left off, I documented what he said. I even put in what I said. Yeah, I said we gonna have a problem. I wrote it, everything. When I took it to HR, and she said, "Wow, you have everything documented here. You recorded everything." I said, "Yes, ma'am, I did." Because I didn't want to forget anything. And everything that he did and he came to me with, I want to make sure I can repeat it to whoever I need to show this to. She said, I wish everybody else would do the same thing you do. Then it'll make my job a lot easier. Because I documented everything. So they had to pull him. Tell you what they did. He was a white employee, of course. The employees that he was talking to were white guys. So what they did to him, they took him off for a few days and had him go to some sensitivity training. You know what I'm saying?
So as far as these, I mean, there went like I think you said you had a little bit more information. So like with just explain his situation. If they're listening, there are a lot of different situations and some other things they can do. Like what else do you? Is for like I guess I don't know if there were any more complaints or different complaints of different nature from what we already heard.
I don't think so very
Because I think they've been getting good advice like last week and tonight.
I don't think it's too much more. Just right now I think they're seeking good advice. It's not a attention seeking thing. It's like we have no one to turn to. I don't even know if they have a union. I meant to ask Mike. Do you know if they got a union or not?
At the city? At one time they had a union, but I don't think everybody joined it. I don't know if it's still in still in effect. But they did at one time have a union, but everybody didn't want to join because when you get a union, that's when everybody started rallying around, telling you all the cons of having a union. And when I say everyone, I mean all the management.
Right. So I mean, right now I guess they're seeking good advice, good recommendations. What Veronica said and mentioned earlier about the EEOC was a good suggestion to seek information from them. And just today or yesterday, matter of fact, Los Angeles school system teachers in Los Angeles, they took it to the streets, and things are. They said okay. They said no union. Um, they taken it to the streets or took it to the streets, and school was shut down.
Mm-hmm.
So
yes, and I think the last time they did it, school was shut down for almost 6 weeks.
Mm. I just feel for them, It's tough. It's a tough position. I know that anybody to be in, but that's the best advice I can say. Document, all your run-ins with your supervisors and managers. Document it and take it to the mayor. Because you don't say nothing. If you complaining, then you're doing yourself a disservice. But if you want to draw a complaint, and that's how you fix it. You make a complaint. and the complaint goes to the people that can make a difference, can actually impact change, But just going sitting around your coworkers and just complaining to each other, all I can say is that's not gonna change a situation, But it's not even as far to I'm sorry, listen, I didn't mean to cut you off. But it's not even as far to document. You ain't got to write down everything because most of us have a cell phone that has a recording function on it. Most of us have that cell phone on us at all times of the day. So if they can't get you with something sideways, you can record the whole conversation. And they said, I didn't say that. Hey, okay, here we go. And I think it's a timestamp dated. So all that stuff can be used if you needed to go out.
Well,
but see, the tricky part in that is, the tricky part in that is you have to anticipate, that about to, something's about to transpire, so you can have your phone, put on record because they see you do it, and they're gonna change their whole behavior. I think that those people, the people that we're talking about right now, are so conceited with the power that they have, they wouldn't. Literally, right now, if you complain about something, they will tell you, well, keep on playing. I get you out of here, and like you just spoke of those trucks with the one-armed bandits. We're gonna go trucks with the one-armed bandits, and then one of y'all have a job. Well, you want to know something? I'll make sure it's recorded, and we'll see. Because if they fire them then, and that's on record, and that's what they said, then the city gonna be liable for that, and they're gonna have to answer to that. So if I was them, put your recorder on. Let's see how bold these people really are. Let's see how bold they are because they will get forced out under them circumstances because you verbally recorded, making a threat to this person in his job, from out of nowhere. So I would do what I have to do. I wouldn't complain about it. I wouldn't be around there complaining. I'll make a complaint. I always tell people, stop complaining and make a complaint. It's different. There's two different things there. One helps, the other doesn't do anything for you.
Just I'm gonna use myself as an example under circumstances where you feel underpaid in a position. After I had just retired as a police officer, I went back to work as the auxiliary officer, which was a school resource officer in the school. Knowing what the pay was, but was told a different version of increase was to come within 6 to 8 months. Well, anyway, I took the job, knowing what was at stake. Loved the job, loved dealing with the kids, being there, helpful, very dumb. But the pay was $15.87. Knowing this, like I said, knowing what the pay was, but doing the job anyway. So, in other words, I was a certified law enforcement officer with the same skills, as any other officer that was, but we were considered auxiliary officer. But the qualifications require that you maintain your APO certification. Knowing this, okay, I'm not asking for law enforcement pay. That if that was the case, I might as well just continue working as a police officer, But I did see that there was a need of an increase. So, I questioned the idea of an increase. After I didn't get the answer of the increase, I did what the next best thing a person should do. If they say they wasn't going to, make things better, you had to find something. You had to leave and go find something best for you. And that's what I did. And long story short, city government pay scales is like top heavy. I'm just gonna put it that way. It's gonna stay top heavy. 30 years that I was there, I didn't see very much change from from being a top heavy thing. I mean, I didn't work very long on the mayor. What's the other mayor before Matt I was there? DuPont. I didn't work very long on the DuPont, but I do know I do suggest that he was more fair, I guess you can say, in trying to keep employees satisfied financially. And I always tip my hat off to the county. Everybody could use more pay, don't get me wrong, but I'm just saying, no matter what nobody say about Hardy McCullum, I heard many, many, many years of him being a stingy commissioner or probate judge. But when it came down to employees, I can't think over none of the years that they didn't get a raise. If it wasn't but 2.5% or whatever, but they had some of the best benefits, and they was always getting a raise. It wasn't like, oh, we it ain't in the budget this year, or we're gonna have to wait until see what the COLA gonna do. Blah blah blah. He took, or I say the probate judge and the commissioners always took care of county employees. For some reason, you never hear any of the county employees complaining about pay. Think about it. You rarely hear county employees complain about pay. Now, that being said, if there's enough of you all that's not satisfied out of the 70 that's still there, start looking for change. Like someone said in the article, they ain't been there long enough to be vested into the position. Even though you like that job, you might want to consider trying to look into another career. But what it does do, it forces the hand of City Hall to really start taking a look at, okay, what is going on? Because I put it this way, that same position as an auxiliary officer position I left, it still got vacancies. You see what I'm saying? They still got it posted, and those vacancies is going to remain there. So let me tell you what happened. What happened was you couldn't fill that position at $15.87. So what you end up have to do is start paying overtime for law enforcement officers to go work in the schools to do the same job you were paying me to do for $15.87. Now you're paying $35 to $45 an hour, where you could have gave a slight increase raise, which was came to like $20. We was told we was gonna get raised up to $20. That's what was told, but it didn't come. It didn't never get to that point. So imagine now you could have paid the $20, but now you're paying anywhere between $35 to $45 an hour to do the same job. Now you're taking manpower off the streets to do this job. So think about it. Will they take a supervisor that's making $25 to $35 to start now driving those trucks, being on the back of those trucks, or paying overtime for to compensate for the shortage or the underpaid and overworked employees that you already got? Or do you go out and try to compromise and make the pay where everybody can be happy?
Yeah. We already know that they're not going to try to make the pay for everybody to be happy.
That's the answer, though, Mike. It really is the answer.
It is the answer.
I mean, I think everybody knows that there's no particular job that everybody can say, "Oh, I'm paid what I'm worth." You know, I'm paid what I'm worth. No,
Shit. Yeah, five you one.
So I think,
Right
but
about that.
there's a compromise of
There's
me.
happiness though. You pay, just like you said, Darryl. Ain't nobody really too many people pay what they worth, unless you're an actor or some superstar athlete. Now they get paid what they're worth.
Correct.
You know what I'm saying? But us common folks, we mostly want to work somewhere where we're happy and we're satisfied.
Yes.
We okay. You know what I'm saying? But when you have to go to work, you're not getting paid very well, and you have to put up with a whole bunch of garbage. Yes. And it's coming from the top, and it's stressing you. And that stress, it's one thing to not get paid right. Another thing, you go to work and you get stressed unnecessarily. And I think that's the biggest thing with a lot of, the folks, are working out there. The level of stress, that I imagine that they have to suffer with.
It can get frustrating. It can get frustrating.
I agree with you. I think that when you go to work and you don't mind going to work, it's not a chore. You don't feel like you're dragging to go up in there every single day. But when you feel like that, when your alarm clock wake up, you're like, and it's Monday and you can't wait till Friday to get here because that's the last day. That make the week go by extremely long, and every little bit of time is starting to break your nerves. So
And let me say this. Let me say this too, Jess. Let me say this right quick. Sorry to cut you off. 90%. I'm gonna say this on my part. Majority of the times, it's rare that police officers work under the command of another African American commander or a lieutenant or sergeant, whatever it might be. But it was it was, to me, it was a pride and joy to work for an African American captain, to make him look good, to make the whole unit look good. And here's what I saw. When we did what he needed done the right way, we were rewarded in another way. In other words, he said, hey, okay, we're going to have this weekend off. Because our job, when I was working under that leadership of Captain Western, it called for us to be on Saturdays and Sundays. Our flexibility of shifts were sometimes 2 to 10, sometimes 4 to 12. Come in sometimes 10 in the morning to 6 in the evening. It was a flexible shift. But he realizing the sacrifice of what his men were taking and doing to make his goal of cleaning up some of the community was to reward us. And he might say, hey, y'all take Sunday, Monday off. Hey, you need an extra day, y'all take Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday, and we'll just work 10 hours. In other words, everybody worked along with what was going on to get the common goal done. And we were proud. I mean, it was all black unit pretty much. And we were proud to work under his command to get the goal done and to make him look good.
And there it goes, there, right there. There it goes. I'm going to cut you off. But there it goes. See, when leadership has the right attitude towards its subordinates, and they treat them with respect, the subordinates will go out of their way to adhere to whatever the leader asks of them. Even if it's something on a day off, and that person called and said, "Hey, Darryl, I'm in a tight situation now. I need somebody to such and such and such." You know how he's treated you and how he respects you and appreciates the work you do. You're gonna be like, "What you need me to do?" Because you're in your mind is gonna trigger. It's like already it's gonna be like, "Well, all this man does for me. What you need me to do?"
That's right.
You're motivated to go that extra mile for him.
That's right.
And see, these new age folks that get in leadership, they don't understand that concept. I don't know if they were taught it. Well, you can't teach leadership. One thing, you can't teach leadership. It's either in you or it's not.
That's true.
Now you can teach a person to run a position a certain way, but you can't teach nobody to how to lead and how to motivate people. Not everybody is built for that, you know. And so these new folks coming in, they're super selfish, all about themselves.
See that?
A leader steps in, and a leader steps in and say, no, all about my team.
Yeah.
And once the team recognizes that their leader's thing is all about, they see how they treat them, how they are treated by the leader that is about all of us. And he's recognizing that everybody can sit in a little circle and say, and they'll have a good word to say about that person that's leading them. And Captain such and such. He did us the solid, And if that man asks me to move for him, I'll move for him. Because I know he'll move for me.
That's right.
That's what you get. That's the reward that a leader gets. He gets his followers, his team will go to bat for him no matter what, and therefore morale is up, production or whatever it is that you do everything is up. Like you said, Dow, everything you got him at a level to his superiors looking that he's doing a great job. So he's just passing the rewards down to his team.
That's correct.
But if the leaders reaping rewards from up here and don't pass none down there, then that team they're gonna start dissipating and start a fallout begins.
Yeah.
And that's just how it goes. So that speaks a lot. If all that fallout is going on up there, it's not a hard judgment to call for anybody to say it's the leadership, not the employees here. It's leadership. If morale is low, leadership should be able to build morale. Because like they say, these coaches, when a new coach come into a program that's in disarray, that new coach come in, they hoping that he'll come in and create a new culture there. They always use that term, to create a new culture, so that the morale can build back up and the program can be successful.
Yeah.
Right now, there's a new culture needs to be created at the city, seems like.
And that's what it's going to take. I mean, it's going to take new ideas, new leadership, new, even from the top. If that meant the mayor or the council saying, "Hey, we're gonna recognize these gentlemen. We're gonna give them on that off day that they get on what is it, Friday?"
Well, it's supposed to be Friday, but they always seem to have to work on Friday.
Yeah, because they're short-handed. But we just gonna grill out for them. We gonna make sure they get a free lunch or something. We'll find a sponsor to provide them with free lunch for a change, or they can get off early and come in, or a family day or something like that. You have to explore new ideas to try to bring the morale of the employees up. I mean, these guys are close knit. A lot of them are recommended friends and family. What's wrong with two brothers working on the same truck? If one of them if neither one of them are a supervisor, what's wrong with it? In my opinion, the only thing you're gonna get is the work being done. One brother probably don't want the other brother out working him. So what problem do they?
Honestly, they should be around for each other.
Right. Because
it used to be a team thing. It used to be like if you was on the back of a garbage truck, you was assigned to a garbage truck. Like you had a driver and you had two people that go behind the garbage truck, and those same three people all the time, the same truck all the time. They knew the route, and they knew what they had to do. When it was heavy on one side, they knew the other one knew to come over and help the other one out. It was always that kind of thing, and the way that they kind of describe it now is like they don't even know who they're gonna work with from day to day. And that's the problem. That's hard to build continuity.
Right.
Continuity. Right, Mike. Great. You're absolutely right. And I remember a time, not to keep up. I remember a time that down at that plant, several years back here. I remember Bill Taylor had came out. He was the president of the company. I know Down, some of y'all probably remember the guy.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Bill Taylor had came out, and it was him and Phil Johnson. They were walking around, you know, president, vice president, number one and number two. They were walking around, you know, and they was just observing, you know, everybody see him. Now, Bill Taylor, one thing about this man here, how he did it, I don't know. But once he knew your name, he never forgot it. He never forgot your name. Many times I used to be walking, you know, and he spotted me, hey, Jesse, how you doing? Good morning. How you doing, Bill? Good morning. You know, he been spotted me, you know, even though our names on everything, but this man had spotted me from all the way down the hall. I know he couldn't read my name on my what's it called from down the hall as far as he was. But he was that type of guy that he just had a memory on him, that he would remember who you were. And see, that mattered. You know, that mattered. It mattered to me that President remembers my name. And he calls out, greets me every time he sees me, you know. So they had one walking around, and they started seeing like the leadership standing around, apparently not doing anything, right? And word got out that Bill Taylor on one side and Phil Johnson was like on another area. They were getting in the managers behind, you know, because at that time I think we were having problems with the equipment, the robots and whatnot, so production slacked. So they started seeing the managers kind of standing around and not really, you know, I don't, you know, whatever. But they had put out up there saying there's going to be a shakeup. And the shakeup is going to start from the top, not at the bottom. And I kid you not, they started demoting and letting managers go. They literally started firing some managers and demoting some of the managers to like, they would demote them down to assistant managers. Some of the assistant managers, they put them back down to, they bumped them down to group leaders, you know? So they shook all that up. I'm just saying there's a way of shaking things up and putting things back in perspective. The leadership, the real leadership just has to take that helm and shake it up. Because I promise you, when they did that, it changed everybody's perspective of these two people right here. The leaders, you know. Oh, they weren't out for us. They was out for where it really mattered. And everything started changing back and got back in perspective and order. Stuff started running properly because you see, the managers weren't standing around huddled anymore. They were walking up and down the lines and making sure everybody's good. You know what I mean? And that has ceased for a while. And they ain't like that. But I'm just saying, the mayor may need to come down sometimes and start making little rounds and see actually what's going on. And you gotta talk whatever or have meetings. Just watch people out there at work. See what they're doing. You know, compliment them if they're doing a great job and keep it moving. That's what they did. And it mattered. I'm just saying there's a lot of ways for them to reach those employees and make the employees feel, you know, wanted and appreciated.
Most definitely.
But you gotta make sure the management, those leaders up there, are there doing their job. All you gotta do is stand back and watch. They don't have to see the mayor come, or he don't have to announce himself before he gets there. Just show up and just stand back in a little corner and just watch and see what's going on. You observe, you will find out a lot by not talking, because that's what they did, you know. And believe you me, that was the talk. That was the talk. When folks that were AMs were group leaders and managers that became AMs that were lucky, and some of them they weren't even there no more. They weren't playing.
Let me give you an example. When Chief Steve Anderson became chief of the police department,
mm-hmm.
his first week, he put on his uniform. He came downstairs and worked with patrol.
Mm-hmm. There you go.
He said the example when most people like, why he got his uniform on? You chief of police, you on the third floor, you all the way down here on the first floor. He set the example right then. He set the tone that I came up through the ranks from patrolman to chief, and I'm not too good to work from chief to patrolman.
The patrolman. Mm-hmm.
And I admired him for that. I admired him for it. That was a prime example. That set the morale standard right there. That I'm not too good to be down here with you all, working with you all.
It absolutely would do. Like if we talking about the city workers, and you got a department head that they know has never touched anything related to the trash. Mm-hmm. Now, I'm not saying go out there and tow a trash pails. You know what I'm saying? But it wouldn't hurt for her to go out there and see what they had to go through. It wouldn't hurt for her to ride behind the truck to see what they had to go through on a daily basis. Mm-hmm. Instead of being in her ivory tower and saying, well, they can do this, they can do that, they can do this, they can do that. Mm-hmm. It wouldn't hurt. And so no, if she was to put on a pair of gloves and decide to go and rake some leaves up, while another boom pull everything in, I am quite sure that the employees would take that as a good sign of good faith, and they work hard for her. Mm-hmm. That's right. It would. It means just that much, it just means that much more. And, it's, obviously, be a part of safety, the safety teams out there and stuff. And I remember, Vice President, he was the, sort of the head of safety too, over the safety, team and department. And so Phil Johnson, he would come out when we would do our safety walks. We have to look for anything that can cause an accident or that wasn't safe, and we have to get it changed. Change that area up to make sure it's safe through there, because OSHA can come through at any time and do these checks, and if there's tripping hazards or whatever, and they'll get you for it. Mm. So we used to do it to make sure none of that transpired. So we doing our safety. After you finish doing safety, he would pick somebody to do a presentation. You don't know who it was going to be, but he'll pick someone to do a presentation after we finished and we found all the bad things along the safety walk in that shop. And he was going to pick someone that one of the group leaders wanted to step in. And when I tell you, he ate the group leader up. He chewed him up, and made it clear, I didn't ask, this is the vice president, the number 2 in charge. I didn't ask you. You don't even do much. I'm asking the people that actually work, which are the team members, I need feedback from the people that actually do work here, that makes the money for the company, not you. That was the number 2 person in charge, chewing this guy out because he overstepped, because he thought, I didn't ask you, And that was another one, a signal for everybody like, oh my God, well, I guess he didn't ask him. I bet you won't say that no more. And the manager was standing there, because he had chewed the manager out one time before too, almost the same way, because it was like, they were thinking like their opinion at the time was more valid than, the team members, our opinions. And we're the ones actually doing the work, and that's all he wanted to hear from. And you never heard from them ever again, giving their advice in that team. They just stood quiet, they kept their mouth shut, and they waited for one of us, the team members to say something about safety. But that's the leadership elevating the people, right. Elevate us, make us matter. He made us matter, in that one experience. There's many ways to motivate your group and get your morale up. That's one way he did it to make sure that we matter. The mayor's gonna have to do all these things. He got to come out there and shake it up. The way I see, I mean, I'm just my thing. It sounds like finally something Walt Maddox gonna have to fix. Him and that council or some he's gonna have to fix it because he's there. You know, he's the one that needs to come out there and set the example and set the tone. You know, I hope they get it right or whatever. Because I hate for people to work somewhere and be so stressed out. Mm-hmm. And you hear about it because we all know nowadays people ain't handling stress very well nowadays. You know, so you don't know at what point is somebody at a breaking point. So my thing is Walt Maddox probably need to get on his game, get on his that horse and come down there and ride down there, and fix it. Get it fixed. I just hate it for them. You know what I'm saying? It's just a bad position to be in, working someplace and not have,
Yeah, it's that I don't know, that drastic drop from 200 to what, 70?
That's crazy.
That's distressing and stuff. That'll make people want to leave. I'm surprised that 70 had up.
Yeah,
from 20 to 70.
Let me ask you something, Veronica and y'all. Ever since that tornado came through, right? Mm-hmm. Now I remember pre-tornado, garbage truck used to come through my neighborhood and get my garbage twice a week.
They did. That's what we talking about. That's what I said.
Right. Then after that, they found a way to eliminate it because during that time, since the trucks were so other places getting up a lot of trash other places, they went to 1 week in the neighborhoods that they was doing it twice a week. So,
but they just was just that's what I talked about last week and the week before last. I knew that when the storm happened and they stated that it would be temporary because they had to share usage of trucks. Norfolk needed trucks, other areas needed trucks. They said that it would be temporary, right? I knew then when they made the statement, I was like, anyway, if they could do it temporarily, when it comes to not using, paying, or not having to spend more money, if they can do it temporarily, guess what? They're going to continue to do it. And I knew the day that they said that we wouldn't go back to 2 day a week. And then lo and behold, a few months later, it's like, oh, we're not going to 2 days a week. And I'll call and complain. And then this woman that answers the phone tells me something. Well, they're moving to that anyway in most areas. We're not most areas. This is not Minnesota. This is not Detroit. And it's like they're moving that way to most areas. And, recycle, you have as many recycle bins as you would like. I said, well, y'all go down to twice a week and then you want to charge us for another garbage can. That doesn't make sense. That was a way for them to put more stress on us because it gives more money and it stresses us out because now when you go around, like they say, put your garbage in bags, right? 9 times out of 10, like today is Tuesday, it was my pickup day. Everybody's garbage on this street just about has bags where you can't close the lid down because you have a week's worth of garbage. And that's still been going on now for what? The storms were 2011. It's been going on for 12 years. The streets where you cannot hardly close it down. And everybody's not recyclable. Everybody doesn't recycle. Everybody doesn't prescribe to recycling.
That's right. And some Veronica, they forced a lot of people to get 2 garbage cans.
And got more money.
And that costs more.
That's monthly. That's a monthly expense.
Exactly.
If you say buy another garbage can and then let that be, that's one thing. You're gonna get complaints. But to say you have to have a garbage can that's charged on your bill monthly, that's ridiculous. When we were 2 days a week, and like I said, I knew it. I know the folks. It's just the way folks are, and then it's just the way cities will be. It's the way that they will treat their citizens.
That was that springboard for Walt Maddox to say how much money he had saved the city of Tuscaloosa, and that's what it reflected in his annual budget. It reflected the amount of money he was saving, and then where did they put that money to? Where did it go?
And I'm sure schedules changed. Employee schedules changed with that. Going from twice a week to once a week.
Once a week.
Schedules have to change.
Exactly.
And
So
that's
I'm
for the
like,
better.
yeah. So I'm like, I'm also thinking like, okay, now y'all save money for not having to come out unless those circumstances. You ain't using the trucks, so you're saving fuel, for the truck use, and you're saving time with the labor use. Okay, where did all that money go? Where do you roll that money to? You know what I'm saying? Where did it get rebudgeted to? You know,
The same place the money went. The same place the money went. That's supposed to go to the McDonald's Houston. The same. We start opening up a whole other different types of cans. You got a whole bunch of cans of worms running around.
Right. It's just unfortunate that I ain't gonna tell I wasn't that in tune to the politics and all that. I really didn't get really in tune to a lot of politics. Really, this doggone pandemic came because you at home, so you see it in it. And MBC, MSNBC, and so politics, and all that stuff going on. So I kind of re-educated myself in politics and how it's running and things of that nature. But there's a lot of money that this city could have allocated to a lot of places and got them taken care of.
And I'm glad you said.
I'm just saying,
They didn't use all that C-19 money. Pay the folks. Do something productive.
Something
productive and something conducive to the community.
Here's a suggestion. Here's a good suggestion. Y'all brought that out. There should be a fee that is suggested solely for the pay of the environmental services employees. And what I mean by that fee, as y'all said, some families have 2 cards. And they ought to say people that has more than 1 cart. The second cart is dedicated solely to the budget for the environmental services employees, which will give them something. I think someone had suggested something like a hazardous pay. So if it means each cart that is taken out, put it in the budget for the environmental services employee. Or we used to go up $1 every year for water and garbage. Well, let's start back putting an extra $1 toward the employees of the environmental services division. That money is solely strictly for them. And the reason I say that, because if you can do it for fire and police, you can do it for other employee agencies too. And what better way to show the idea or the concept that you're behind your employees? The people pays. Okay, when we said this 1 cent sales tax, you came over with Elevate Tuscaloosa. You did everything you could think of for as utilizing that 1 cent.
Except Elevate the West Side?
Except. So if there's going to be fees that are going to be put out there, let's put fees in place to re-energize the environmental service division with, if it's $100 or $200 a month extra that they get or receive, or even bring their pay up to $20 or starting pay at $20. Whatever it takes, come up with a plan that's going to be to that division. Come up with a idea. And I ain't saying you taxing the people, but that's what you've been doing all the while. So
I mean, it's not even it's not even not to cut you off, Dal. It's not even a matter of taxing. It's a matter of incentivizing.
Right. If you want people to work,
right. It's for deserving employees. And when you incentivize someone, that's appreciation for a job well done.
And like I said,
who's gonna kick against that.
Just if you're doing it for, and some people might say, well, that's a whole different situation. If you do it for one set of employees, I think you can find a way to do it for another set. But at the same time, like I said, we can't continue to be top heavy with your management and supervisor position. There should be some disparity, but who actually doing the work? Who's actually
about making? We should have several folks around here making over $100 and some $1,000 in overtime. Yeah. Hey, fellas, check this out. Not to go away from everything. Y'all know the World Baseball Classic going on this week, right? Yeah. Just so y'all know, Japan did whoop America at home. I think they're in Miami actually, but Japan just won. Let's get that out there. Sorry, I had to throw that in there. The darn shame.
What the score is?
3-2.
Okay.
Japan. All that money. You talking about $1 billion probably over $1 billion in salary in that bullpen. They couldn't beat these Japanese players. And then Otani was the one that struck out Mike Trout. They teammates. They teammates too, yeah. The last I was on Mike Trout and him and Otani here, who struck him out, they teammates on the Angel. I wonder how that's gonna work when they that's crazy. But anyway, back to what's important.
Well, y'all seen there was a situation where in Virginia where another inmate was killed in the hand of employees while while being in jail.
Yeah.
Wow. I didn't hear about that. Yeah. I just heard about the one.
It was quite a few of them.
I think it was like 10 to 12.
That's what I was about to say, because I was about to say 13. You might be right there. It might be like 10 to 12. I know the number's up there. Double digits.
African American inmate was smothered, as they put it. They said, they tried to say he had cardiac arrest, but I think the being Crump, that joke is gonna be. He's sure enough rich, ain't he? Oh my god! Of
course he is.
Of course he having a kid.
But people. But what about the man that was in the hospital and he was having some sort of issue in the hospital? They brought him into the hospital, and these police officers, I don't know, the deputies or whatever, but it was like about 5 or 6 of them, 3 about just like almost like the George Floyd thing. They was holding him down on the ground on top of him, and next thing you know, he come up dead. And it was on video. It was on a camera inside that room.
Yeah, you sound like you're talking about the same one.
They're charged, all of them, with second-degree murder.
Yeah, you talking about the same case we talking about.
Oh, it's the same thing? Oh, okay.
Yeah, in Virginia. But it was it's 10 to 12 of them. It's not 5 or 6. It's about 10 to 12 of them.
Yeah, all because
I want to say it might be 7. It's so many that's off duty, and then it's a different number that's
they were there.
Yeah, it's like there's a difference in the number for a reason. Kind of like with the young man in Tennessee. Some was some and not even right. So it's like a difference in who's been on leave and who's actually been terminated or something like that.
Right, exactly. So now they charging folks now if you're there. If you stand in and you are complicit, you get charged. So that's a good thing now. That's one thing I can say that's good. It should have always been that way, but now it's being enforced, and that's a good thing, But these police officers, and I hear there's some guy that they're looking for killing a police officer somewhere. I forget what state it was, and he killed a police officer, and they're looking for him, but he was probably scared for his life. That's probably why that happened. You know, it probably felt like him with me. And, you know, self-preservation always going to kick in with most anybody. But
I still don't understand how they feel like they can shuffle and tussle and throw people around and then don't expect for their bodies to fail as an automatic instinct. It's a natural. When you would get a whooping as a child, and some of y'all can remember your mom or dad, I said, you hit me back, or you, I mean, you knew when he made you just hate to do that. You'll be having to talk about it with your friends later, laugh about it, because there's just a natural instinct. You get hit, you're going to jerk. You're going to grab, you definitely going to jerk, you get punched.
You're going to be jerking and running, trying to get away and everything. You ain't going nowhere, but you're going to be trying. But then nobody going to be saying, like, even if you stand there taking it, just like the young man Nichols did, because he was taking it, you're going to move. You're going to move again. Your organs are going to need oxygen. When your body's getting under stress, you're going to need oxygen. So all this stuff about just don't resist, stop resisting. And then somebody with their knee in the lower of your back, if you're trying to lean up the top of your back, I mean, it don't make sense. I'm so glad you speaking on that, Rob.
It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. You're gonna have an automatic instinct to jerk, and then if something hits you, your body's gonna have a bounce back. Yeah, and you know, this is like when you, like I said, when you were getting a whooping, you weren't hitting your parents' back, but then you're gonna grab, you're gonna move, you're gonna jerk.
You're trying to get away. You're trying to get away. But
and even but the thing about it though, if you're not trying to get away, if you're pinned down, you're still gonna have those reflexes.
Of course, it's natural.
That's natural. Those are natural body movements.
That's why I say to folks when they say he should have complied. How the hell somebody gonna comply and they freaking all on them?
And then half the time you got 3 or 4 different people yelling out something.
Yeah,
yelling out orders.
Like you said, pain makes you react. People react to pain. You know.
Let me get my facts correct.
It's just crazy.
Let me give you the facts. 7 deputies and 3 others face murder charges and a black man death at a mental hospital. So, Virginia prosecutors charged 7 law enforcement officers with 3 hospital employees with second-degree murder over the death of a black man at a state psychiatric hospital last week. Ivo Tino, 28, was taken into emergency custody on March 3rd after experiencing mental health distress. He spent 3 days.
The psychiatric component definitely puts a different shine on how they're going to respond.
He spent
because he was in a psychiatric hospital, so a lot of times these people go on the street. What they used to holler, oh, he must have been crazy, or he must have been that. But he was in a psychiatric hospital.
You know, it's crazy. It is absolutely crazy how these people...
And the thing about it is when I worked in psychiatric hospitals, so yes, you do have to try to, they will tell something up if you don't get control of them. But it still has to be a time where you still have to have somebody in the area where it kicks in. Because a lot of times when they start acting like that, like at, say Taylor Hart, they get to fight. A lot of them young guys, young boys, it's their first jobs in forensics or in any type of medical field. So they gonna do what they can do to try to help them down. So there always should be somebody in authority to say, don't do this, don't do that, that's enough.
Yeah, right.
So
we used to have a plan when I was working at Taylor. We had a plan when we went in one of them rooms, and you had to try to get some Tylenol, what you call it, Theranol, or I forgot whatever medication shot they had to give them.
Oh yeah.
But let me finish. He said he spent 3 days in local jail in south of Richmond, Virginia, where his family lawyers said he was brutalized by officers, including being pepper sprayed, stripped naked, and deprived of his medication before being transferred to Central State Hospital, a state-run mental facility in Dinwiddie County. Otino was restrained with handcuffs and legs shackled throughout the hospital intake process, according to Dinwiddie County Commonwealth Attorney Ann Campbell Bakerville. In court on which she said videos show that 7 sheriff deputies held him on the ground for some 12 minutes. They smothered him to death. She said he died of asphyxia due to being smothered.
Man, that's terrible.
She said the video
showed when you look at the images, when you look at the picture of him, I can see the first thing they holler, he's a big guy, he's big. No, I just see what you see.
It don't even matter.
It didn't tell you don't matter. He could have been Superman. There was too many people who didn't have handle it the correct way.
And let me say this: I remember a friend of mine grew up together. We grew up together. This when I was young. I was probably I may have been like 18 years old. And B had gotten a hold of some angel dust, some dust. It wasn't angel dust, it was the dust. It was the kind you smoke. They called it dust up there. It wasn't angel dust. He got a hold of some of that and he flipped out, And he was out in the middle, it was the summertime. It was that night, one night in the summer. He out in the middle of the street on the block, stopping traffic in front of the bus, cars, everything. And we trying to get him out, out of the street. So somebody called the police. Now, what we did know about when they smoked that, we knew milk would help neutralize it. So folks was buying milk from out the store, on the block. We come out and have a gallon of milk, trying to get me to drink this milk. And he called himself the devil. When I say he was strong, and he wasn't no bigger than probably at the time. He was probably about 130, 40 pounds, something like that. But he was so doggone strong. The police tried to get a hold of him, right? So we all was like, no, officer, we'll get him, officer. They was struggling, but they was doing a little much, a bit much. So it's like, y'all need to get him out the street then. Y'all don't get him. Y'all hell need to get him out the street. So it was like 2 on each leg and two up at the top. And it took all of us, with everything we had, to get him out of that street and over onto the sidewalk where my building was, and put him down on the ground. Nobody was on top of him or nothing. Because I had part of his leg, and my boy, we was on the ground with him holding his leg, and 2 of our boys at the top holding his arms. And he still was hard to handle. But it didn't take us getting on top of him. We knew we'd get on top of him, just go, hurt him or scare him like that. So it took 6 kids, teenagers, pretty much. It took 6 of us to subdue him, pull him down. It shouldn't take that much for these officers, but it don't take 8, 9, 10 of them to do that. And then it definitely don't take nobody to get on top of these people. So when I see it, I just know it's an overkill.
I still don't understand why they do it. And do these people not know that they be weighing so when you look at some of them people, they talking about how big the person is, they be weighing 250 at minimum. They weighing 250, 290, 300 pounds, some of them. A few of them may weigh to 150, above 50, but most of them, if you're above 50, if it's 60, maybe y'all, what are you doing?
Exactly.
And it's almost like they feel like they still, no matter how many people have been tried, no matter how many people whether you think the charges were sufficient or not, as an officer, I would think people have the mindset, don't be the one that get that real heavy sentence if you get found guilty. But these people are thinking like, oh, it seems like we had thought they said, well, when they got Chauvin, oh, that's their one in every 50 years. The rest of us good now. It's like almost like it seems like you would think it would have deterred them. And then they've been doing more prosecutions and they're still doing it. Like, if it's not the field for you, it's not the field for you. And I understand that sometimes, people you got to be rough with people. But when you get to the point where you choking people, when you shooting at a man 90 times, I just looked at a YouTube article a couple of weeks ago, Dr. Rashad Richards talked to a young man that was like in his 20s, and he got 2 sons. He said he could not believe it once all the stuff stopped. He saw so much blood on the ground. He couldn't believe it. It was like coming out of his hip or something like that. He now walks with a limp. And he got 2 bullets that's still in some places. But why was he shot at 90 times? Of course, the lady that called even lied and said she lied on him. The mother of his children told a lie on him. And she was Caucasian lady. And so that was what Dr. Rashad Richards said. Would they have shot at a white man 90 times with that same wife? He's just glad to be here to work with animals. He loves animals and first of all, to raise his kids. This man was shot at 90 times, y'all. He couldn't be no more than 26 years old. They shot at him 9. They're still doing that stuff.
That's overkill.
You shot at somebody 90 times?
It's overkill. It don't take all that. But when they see us, apparently something triggers in their mind, in their head, that racist part of them comes out. It's just, we don't matter. We don't matter. You cannot matter.
And that's why I don't understand those of us who do the dirty work do the dirty work for.
Just stand there and just allow it. That just really bothers me the most is when you got people that look like us, you know, that's there and they allow it to happen. They don't do anything, you know, and then, you know, I don't care. At that point, you're not a good cop to me. You might as well join. Might as well join then. If you're not a good cop, you go home to try to convince yourself, if any of them listening, if you go home trying to convince yourself that you're one of the good ones, you're just as bad. You might as well have. Because what you're actually doing is you're giving your approval to those bad cops when you do nothing. You're just empowering them more to get away with it.
Right. That's what it seems like. It seems like, oh, well, when they got Chauvin, you know, that was at 150 years. So, you know, if they get anybody else, if they do get us, the charges won't be so bad.
Exactly.
But you would think it would deter them instead. And I was sitting here, I mean, a nation is full of people who are taking a job, who's still doing that kind of stuff. And you have a person who's trying to run for president, but they're saying that if he's even charged, that stuff, a crime has never stopped somebody from running. I'm like, y'all making it easy for him to even run now. Saying this man's about to be arrested, but you're saying that even if he's found guilty of a crime, I was like, what? So a president can have these crimes and still run. It's unreal the way this country, the way it's going, and the things that they do, and the double standards.
It's set up for them.
Yeah, the double standards are ridiculous.
The rich folks, see, laws and all that, those constitutions, they were designed by folks that had money, already had power and money. So a lot of it is to really, it's kind of keep them in check and to make sure the country don't fall in the hands of a tyrant, yes. But it's also, you look at it set up for, if you got enough money and if you get the right people, you can get out of it. This is for you. But you got to get the right people and utilize that money, all that money you got. But you can get out of it. Because the folks that ain't got money, we ain't getting out of nothing. We ain't getting out of a misdemeanor. You know, so it's
and if somebody does, if they do, you never hear the end of it.
Never. Look. Every time you turn around, you hear something about OJ. Oh, yeah, he was guilty.
They act like. I mean,
R. Kelly.
Right. But what about the what's his name, Spectre? You don't hear nothing else about him no more. What about Robert Blake? You don't hear anything else about him anymore.
No.
Now, OJ should have sat down somewhere because OJ is really does think I don't know what he think he is, but OJ is stuff that was just crazy.
Well, you want to know what OJ is now? OJ to realize he's black. So he's running around. He's not that he's ignorant. Now, he's not a very smart guy.
I still don't think he's
but he's rich. I think he is too. Well, no, you're right. To a certain extent.
Same class that on the back and like, okay, good boy. And but he's finally learned to stop having these altercations. He's finally learned to stop letting people manipulate him.
Coerce him to doing crazy stuff.
Exactly.
You know?
He finally stopped doing that.
Yeah, because when he went after that guy to get his Heisman trophies and stuff back, you know. Now I almost couldn't blame him. Excuse me, because he said he didn't authorize it. How they get his stuff, I don't know. But the way he went back trying to get his stuff was what got him in trouble. You know. Now somebody gave this guy. You found out this guy had his Heisman trophies and stuff. Now you couldn't blame him. Now, Heisman trophy. I think some rings he had from college.
That's it. I mean, I understand the importance of
that. He worked hard for that.
He need to talk to Kareem because Kareem just sold some of his.
Yeah, Kareem did it for a valid reason, though.
I know, but I'm saying that that's still that important. I'm sure his are just as important to him. Well,
Right.
he wouldn't go out and try to do it the way OJ did. I mean, those are really important. So I'm saying he has a better mindset. OJ, you out here, like I said, they yours, you want your stuff, but you already know how they own you, and you go out here and do it like that. And I'm like, then you kind of got somebody with Kareem, like, you know what? I'm gonna sell these. No matter what he's selling for, he was still willing to do it. But OJ out here strong arming folks.
Yeah, see, OJ said these folks took my stuff, so I'm taking my stuff back. Now with Kareem, he had possession of his stuff. And he said, I guess what I'm gonna do is it's not doing anything. Right. See,
significance of it.
Right, Kareem was like, this stuff is just sitting here collecting dust. You know what I'm saying? I know, and the world knows what I've achieved. They know my history. Man, let me let this stuff help somebody. Mm-hmm. And he raised over $3 million for his stuff, you know, and that was amazing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that wouldn't go back to jail.
You know, he ain't finna whoop. No,
he ain't that stupid. He knew that they probably wouldn't help him the way he wanted. Law authorities wouldn't help him the way he felt like they should help him. Yeah. He stole it about the wrong way though, bro.
he found out. He found out that he got
a little street in him because you know can't blame him for wanting his stuff. But come on, man, look, they own you. They be on it.
Yeah, man.
Well, y'all just came to the hour of 10 o'clock and a little bit past 10 o'clock. And it's my time to get ready for tomorrow. And since I didn't say a prayer at the beginning, I guess I'll say a prayer for the night. And we'll take the show on off the air for the night. If you would just bear with me for a little quick prayer. Heavenly Father, thank you for this day. Thank you for this conversation that we maybe was able to help someone. Heavenly Father, we give you all the praise and all the glory. Heavenly Father, we thank you for your grace and your mercy that you gave us an opportunity to be here this day. Heavenly Father, we just want to give you all the praise and all the glory. And we want to thank you so much for blessing us this day to see another day. We're asking that you continue to watch over all our families, all our friends, and go with the bereavement families as they prepare the loss of their loved ones. Then, Father, we praying for all the essential workers, our military personnel, our first responders, our teachers, our children, our government officials, our presidents, and the people that are going through war in Ukraine. Heavenly Father, we're asking that you go with the sick and the shut-in. We're asking for a healing hand for them. We're asking that you look over the ones over in the nursing home, all our elderly. Continue to bless all our doctors and nurses and all the essential workers that in the healthcare field. And Father, we know we can't do anything without you. We give you all the praise and the glory. In your Son, Jesus Christ's name, we pray, amen.
Amen.
Amen, y'all. Hey, we'll be back on Thursday. We'll talk more. We'll get more information about the 7 deputies in Virginia. And we'll talk a little bit more about that and what's going on in America. That's it for me tonight. And look like Mike, too. I think Mike got a little sleepy, too. So we'll get ready to take off. Any announcements that's going to be made, we'll make them on any other announcement. Don't forget about the food drive on Thursday. Make sure that is Thursday. Yeah, the food drive is on Thursday, March 23rd over at St. Paul Baptist Church. Free food from 10 a.m. until it's gone. So please share that with families and friends that you know might need, in need of food right now. That'll be a great place to go. Well, all right, y'all. That's it for tonight. We'll see y'all on Thursday, Lord's willing. Y'all have a safe and happy Wednesday. And we'll see y'all on Thursday evening.
Good night, y'all.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.